Okay, I'm gonna try to demonstrate QC03 for you guys uh, and do it in such a way that it takes about as long as it might take you guys. So I'll let you read through this and then I'm going to show you. I'm going to look at these instructions and try to do what they say. Okay, make a copy of that sheet. So we right click and go duplicate. So that in your Google Sheet creates a copy, and then we're going to name it QC03. So double click right there, QC03, type that in, hit the enter. Okay, then work in here down below. Now this is a new copy of your data. I'll put that in the middle. And I've lost some of my things. Here they are. And I just, sometimes it's easier to see them in the middle. And I want to wrap all of this. Okay. So this is the data set I want you all to use. Mine are real numbers, they're not formulas, the way they started out. So we'll work on that data set. We're going to generate random numbers with the same average and standard deviation. So here's the average and here's the standard deviation. And there's a couple of ways to generate these formulas. We'd like to do them in such a way that we could copy and paste the formulas over to here and get these to create random numbers with this average and this standard deviation later, maybe as another assignment. So how might we do that? And I'll probably need to make more spaces here, more columns. So let's plan on putting our random numbers here. Random, same average. This is just a abbreviation. These are going to be random, normally distributed numbers. And I'm going to get this up and... Alright, I don't like what I just did. I think I'm going to cut this, Control X, and let's paste it right here. Okay, Control V. Now that 5 here is being used here. See, the F9 refers to column F, row 9. That 5 came from here, just like this 16 came from here. But we don't need all this these columns of 5s or 16. So we can convert all of these in this whole row, even over on the other side of the sheet, by selecting this row, by clicking on the 2 here, and then going copy, Control C, and then paste special, Alt, Edit, S for paste special, and once you do that, you could hit enter. So we copied and pasted. Now this is just a 5, not a formula. So we can go ahead, escape. We can go ahead and put our random numbers here instead and just delete that column. We'll use this column for something else, maybe, or just get rid of it for now. Okay, so these are gonna be the random numbers. Whoops, that's not, I want to format and wrap that. You'll be spending time doing stuff, getting mixed up too. Okay, so these random numbers are going to have this average and this standard deviation, and when we make a formula here, if we copy and paste it here, this address for the average is going to jump down. I can show you, but or I'll show you and then we'll fix it. Equals norm inverse, that's a normal distribution inverse. I'm going to show you how this random part works. Make this bigger. I'm going to show you this in a class sometime. Okay, now the average is up here and we're ready to just click on it and enter it there, and then put a comma and then click on standard deviation. We could add an end parenthesis or just hit enter. And that's a random number with this average and this standard deviation. Let's copy that and paste it to a couple places here just to show you things get screwed up because double click, see it's referring to this. We wanted it to be the average, but we copied and pasted 2 rows down, and so this reference to the average got shifted 2 rows down. So what we do to prevent that from happening, kind of an odd thing, we put a dollar sign in front of the 1 because we want row 1 to stay what it is, and they for some reason decided to make the dollar sign character freeze that thing that comes after it. So now column E can shift to column G if we copy this over here, but row 1 will stay row 1. Okay, so now Control C, hold the Shift key down, and we'll make the same number of random numbers as our data set. Okay, I just made a mistake there, so the dotted blue line shows it's still in the clipboard. I can hold the Shift key and hit the down arrows, and now Control V, and those numbers all get in there. They all look like ones, don't they? But really they're not. They're numbers that average over time. If we did 1,000,000 of them, they'll average here and have this standard deviation. Watch this. Control C, Control V. So there's the real average. Let's make all these 4 places. So we're trying to get this, but over time it will vary quite a bit. Okay, so there's our random numbers, here's our real numbers, and I generated these from random numbers to begin with. So this we could get sidetracked here, equals round this number, I think, to 2 decimal places. No, let's see. Yeah. See, that's rounding this to 2 decimals. So if I copy that and paste it, Control V, and now copy all of these and paste special, Alt Edit S. Whoops, my mouse got in the way there. Click. Now these are fixed at 2 decimals, rounded, and we'll get rid of these. You see what I did? If you don't worry about it. Your numbers were rounded to begin with. So these are random numbers that match this average and this standard deviation. They may have changed because we rounded them, and this has already taken 12 minutes. Yikes. Okay, so there we've generated our random numbers, same average, same standard deviation. Sometimes they come close and sometimes hit Control R. Look at that standard deviation. We lost our format here. Anyway, none of this will be stuff that you'll have to do. Oh, this was a formula, but this wasn't. We want that to be the formula. And so now this still refers to that, but we want this to be the same formula. Much quicker to do that. Okay, now that looks better to me. Every time I refresh it, it tries to be this, but the set of random numbers doesn't always, right? So this, anyway, I can get sidetracked, but let's do the assignment. Okay, find the minimum and the maximum. So of your data set, let's format this a little bit gray so we know that's your data set. And we'll put formulas here, min and max. These are labels, but the formulas are the same, equals min, and we'll find the minimum here. And this is going to copy over Control Shift up. We can leave that word in there, that shouldn't hurt. That's the min of that data set. The max is that. And so we're going to make our bins. Yeah, we're going to make our bins right here. And so the first bin I want to be lower than the minimum. So, and let's go a good bit lower, 0.80. And now we want to go up in equal steps until we get above this. So let's just try saying the next number is going to be the number above it plus, and let's say 0.05. That means 2 steps will be 0.9. And then copy that and just select a bunch and paste and see how quickly we get up to there. Okay, that's not unreasonable. We only have 20 numbers, and we don't want to spread them out too much. And let's go above this, even 1 or 2 steps above doesn't hurt. And so just delete that, or let's Control Z, leave that there, we have the room. Once again, I want to format this all in the middle. Okay, now on this also, it gets to be a pain and working in half a sheet. Okay, so there's our bins, and now we want to do the frequency formula of these numbers, and those, let's just get that same header, equals, scroll up or go up with our arrow and click on the header word there. How do I get that out? Anyway, you can see that's lit up, equals that, enter. Equals that. I got messed up there, so I'm gonna escape and just do it again. Equals. Scroll up, select the word, weight of entry. It puts the word in. Let's format all of that. Okay, so you see me doing some things that I do automatically, but 1 mil with a 25 ml pipette, I do them thinking that when I do it, I'm gonna copy it and recopy it. And I do it without really knowing what I'm gonna do with it later on. But this is the idea now. Okay, so we're actually making progress here. We've done that. We've done that. Now we're going to use this formula. And it wants 2 things, the formula, and then it wants to know where your data is and where your bins are. and you only need to put it in one place, right here. I put it next to the bins, but you'll see in another video that sometimes you want to put X labels here instead of bins, but that's another topic. Okay, so we got the formula, now we want the data, and it's ready for the first point. And if I hold the shift key down, I can give it the data. Let's just give it numbers. So there's the range of numbers from E9 to E28. Now add a comma. That comma tells it it's ready for the bins. What showed up? Okay, use the arrow keys. That's what I would tell you to do. And turn on formula help. It's looking for the classes, another name for bins or buckets, and let's follow their advice with the arrow keys. Hit the down arrow. See, it's first it jumped down to the end, and now the bins, and only give it the numbers here. And let's hold the shift key down, see, and use the arrows. And we only need to go up so far, but let's for now. We can always change it later. So the formula, I'm scrolling up. The formula is going here in E34, I see, and it refers to the data and the bins. Enter. And when it entered, it jumped down one cell. But the formula is right here, see? And nothing here except the numbers that the formula generates. And then our numbers appear at these bins. 7 numbers were greater than 1.0 and up to and maybe equal to 1.05. Okay, 7 numbers. And let's do the same for our random numbers. Let's sort this data into these same bins. And while we're at it, we'll copy the header. So copy these 2 cells. I did that with the shift key and clicked, then Control C. You only need the top left corner to paste, Control V, and here's our random numbers generated with the same average and the same standard deviation as our real numbers. This will be your data, and here's how that one batch went into the bins. And so we're done that, and we've done the frequency for both our real data and the random numbers. So now we make charts and include the bins. They're going to be the x-axis labels, and we'll just include that data. Insert chart. Well, let's start with a column, straight old column chart. And there's our column chart. The real data and the random numbers that match the average. Now that doesn't look much like a normal distribution. So let's try Control R a couple times. After the first time, you have to scroll back. Control R, Control R. Something is not right there. That does not make sense to me. Why doesn't it make sense? That's the average of those numbers. That's the standard deviation of those numbers. And these are random numbers, average and standard deviation. Same average and same standard deviation. Normal. Now, do you have any ideas? I don't. I'm expecting these numbers, this normal distribution, to match. Put that up above there. Clearly. Okay, let's look at the numbers. The standard deviation, 0.6. So the most we expect to be away from the average is 3 times this. That rounds to 0.7. That would be 3 times 0.7 is 0.21. So we'd expect to see numbers as high as 1.2 and as low as 0.8. And we are, I know what happened. I've done this before. Okay, what's our bin list? Our bin list shifted to the right because we should have expected to. The data is the right data, double click. See, we want the random numbers, but the bins are here, and that's why it doesn't make sense. How do we fix it? I showed you up here. When we made the random numbers, we froze the rows. Here, down below, we need to freeze the column. So here we want E. That's not right. We want column D. So we put a $sign in front of the D. Here, the start and the stop. In this formula, now we can copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and now our numbers are scattered, similar. Okay, and if I click in here, see the bins are still in column D because I froze it with a $sign. Alright, so now that's the problem and that's the solution. Control Z, Control R. Okay, we can almost exactly match. Occasionally the y-axis jumps around. We could set a maximum of 10 and stop that from from jumping around anymore. Control R, Control R. Alright, we can see all these blue points are okay. If I want to try one that's not okay, 1.3, put it down here. Notice it starts to pull our random numbers out there too. Control R. Not too much. Well, yeah. See? Because it shifted the average to the higher number. And that is still the average of this. So it should shift the random numbers higher too. So the question is that if you had observed this as one of your weights, it would pull the random numbers over the average over to the right, and it would widen the standard deviation. So now it's looking more like I'd hoped it would. You don't often see a red bar out this far, but you do occasionally. And even two. So I think you have to listen to my further explanation about this. It's not quite the way I had hoped. But we've done what we wanted here. We've made a histogram and then double click in here and first of all right click or go here. This is kind of rough now with this, but copy this chart and then click out here and paste it. Let's make this big. And now you can change one of these charts to a line chart. And you see just two forms of looking at the same thing. And Control R. How do we identify this as an outlier? If you were to have observed this point and added it to this data set, you might say this is a legitimate place to start for establishing limits, even though, see, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, in 140 times we got one number out here. Well, if you had this data point, you might say, let's go ahead and make our control chart with this average and this standard deviation and leave this point in, but it's suspicious. We might be able to do better than that. 0.9, really 0.1 here. If we delete this, that drops that down quite a bit, see. So we can go back here and pick up our original number, copy and paste it back in. So that's another thing I need to talk about. It's why Schuhart didn't get through to people and Deming did. Anyway, then we hit that and we tried to add a point and delete it, and we brought up the problem that needs to be dealt with. How long did that take? A half an hour. You can finish this assignment in that amount of time. And once you get these numbers and make your charts here, you can go into here and make a random number, Control C, for the 5 ml, Control V. Notice that's very close to 5, and if I double click, notice it refers to these average and this standard deviation. I can copy that and paste, and paste it over here and have it refer to those. So I can paste it down here and copy and paste that down. Paste that down to there, Control V, and then copy these, paste them all across, and copy these, and paste them all across. And actually, these numbers now show you that if the numbers that are up above that this formula refers to, if they don't fall in this bin or this bin, they'll get put out here. So 20 numbers didn't fall in any bins here. So we'll need to make a new bin list for each of these different data sets, okay? If you wanted to do that, all you need to do is be here anywhere in this column and go Alt-I, insert a column to the left, so you could type a C there, and now make a new bin list. And I can show you a trick about that if you have a minute. Let's just do it. What's our minimum? 4.77, so let's start at 4.0. This is not your homework. I'm just showing you this if you want to see it. We're going up to 5.4, so steps of 0.1 seem appropriate, so this can equal whatever we started with plus 0.1, 4.8, copy that, hold the shift key down and walk down with the downer, paste it, 5.1. That's not enough bins. So let's change this to 0.05, just like we did here, over here, right? So, actually, all we need to do is copy this leave the 0.8 alone there, copy this over to here, and there's the numbers with the 0.05 step the same as here. And now this formula is still referring to here. We need to change column D to column G. So we can do that like that. Notice each step there. And let's go a little lower because our maximum is 5,3. So instead of row 44, let's go. I'd like to go a couple numbers beyond. Alright. So we have two numbers in our first bin. Oh, I still have random numbers, so all of this is going to change. You'll have real numbers. I'm going to stop them from moving right now. So now that minimum, so that's easy. We just change this to 4.6. Watch, enter, see, everything adjusts. So don't waste your time plugging numbers in when you can use formulas that are going to update correctly when a mistake was made upstream. And see, that's a new minimum, and that's a new minimum. So now this bin list, we also can apply to this data set and this frequency. Copy, paste, and that's a good frequency distribution that even has one number higher than 5.4. So like I say, it's a good idea to go as high as, and since now, well, these won't change. Now we could include all of that and go ahead and insert another chart. It's plotting 4.6, 4.65, right? Those are the blue bars. We want to use column G as labels. And I think you'll generally find the line chart easier, although that's not great. It helps with this sometimes to make the line thicker. Anyway, bold, I like bold. Control R, that first time's a killer. Wait, give it time. If you move this up, when it finally comes back, it'll be there and you won't have to keep reorienting. So the blues are staying the same. The red is sometimes closely matching. Everything looks pretty good there. But if I had made a mistake and lost a couple drops here, you'd see it. Would you? That's maybe higher than yeah. So that was too far off. It spread out the random numbers. Bring it in a little closer. That's still too far off. 5.3. And then refresh our random numbers. No, that's not out of the range of possibility. And this, like I say, I need to talk to you about Schuhart and Deming and why we didn't get it. This is in the realm of a normal result. Anyway, that was your assignment. Control Z should put that number back. It's too late to hit Control Z. That's the number we wanted and that we had in there originally. What happened? This was... this is a random number. Alright, so your data won't have some of these problems. I'm copying a random number into here. We lost our original number. Anyway, you get the point for the assignment, okay? 4.9, 4.8, that should be a good number. So you didn't have to do this last part. Here's the point of all of this. We're looking at the fine edge in the level of polish, and really your data can be rough and your random numbers will similarly be rough, and that's normal, and normal is good. That's for now. If you can improve it, that's good. Over time you'll increase your precision, you'll bring your numbers in tighter, and really that's a decrease in standard deviation. Really you reduce your imprecision, and this is your level of imprecision. But we call it increased precision, means a tighter, lower standard deviation. If you can do that over time, this will show it. But as far as quality control goes, you want things to go the way they normally would be expected to based on this data set. And, or on this data set. And if they're not, the way it is you will see it. Something will be significantly out of whack compared to your normal data set. And some of you with some of your data will see, even in your original data sets, that some numbers are not part of a cluster. Alright, I've talked too much. If you can do just the first two graphs, that's enough. Where did ours go? This actually is good enough. Click once and grab. Click once and grab. Those two graphs is all you need to do for the homework. And that was